My name's Liz Brennen and I live in Cambridge and I am a trade union organiser here for Cambridge City and South Cambs. For me, it really means having a say in your surroundings, your environment, your workplace, and taking part in having that say and being confident that you will be listened to, and it's worth taking part. So having a stake really in, whatever your environment is and being given a voice in that. I think that is, to me, that is what democracy is really. I guess as part of my role, I do encourage people to join a union and get involved and take part in any votes that are offered, votes on pay or on, workplace changes or on health and safety, and kind of explaining why if you don't have your vote, then you are really leaving options to other people, and why would you do that? So just really encouraging people and kind of challenging people a bit to use their vote and understand why it's important, because in the workplace we see that not everybody takes part in ballots on pay, etc. And sometimes I don't really understand why that happens. And sometimes it's because people are very, very busy or they just don't really understand the mechanism. So it's really about having those one-to-one conversations to really explain, the participation is vital, really. What worked for me when I first joined a union, or when I was, first invited to join a union, I think what resonated with me was the explanation that all terms and conditions have been negotiated in the workplace if there is a union there at some stage or another. So anything from holiday pay to sickness pay, maternity leave, etc. We benefit from good terms and conditions because there's a union in the past that's had a say in that, I think. So I think it was that understanding that really resonated for me, and that was a good reason for me to get involved. Because I think at first when people join an employee, you think, oh no, I've joined up, I'm quite happy with my pay, I don't want to challenge the boss, etc. But it's not really about that. It's just about understanding that we are where we are because there's been a collective body of people in the union behind us improving things in a union. So I think that is what worked for me, and I kind of still use that explanation.
And so would you say that's what inspired you really to get involved, or can you think of another?
I think I kind of got involved because when I was a teenager, showing my age, CND was very mass movement. It was a massive campaign against nuclear weapons on British soil, and on cruise missiles being sighted, particularly at Greenham Common. So when I was a teenager, there were lots of protests around that, the Greenham Common women, CND, and also the miners' strike. So there was a lot of political activity. So there were opportunities to be involved. And for me, I was really concerned about, nuclear weapons. The danger that they posed was wrong, and money spent on nuclear weapons was wrong. I used to write to Tory MPs when I was a teenager, which is a bit of a sad occupation for a teenager to engage in, but I did it. But I also, got involved in protests, etc. So I guess that was a bit of an understanding that you could do something. You could do something as a larger group of people to have an impact. And then later, I had an opportunity to join a trade union in a workplace and improve health and safety at work and all those other things. I think they all kind of flowed on from each other, really. There were lots of connections between them, I think. that doesn't always apply to everybody. You know, I could have worked years in organisations or for employers where there was no trade union recognition, so that could have all passed me by, or those things can easily pass people by. I guess I was kind of lucky to have those influences. When I first moved to Cambridge, I did a load of temporary jobs here, there, and everywhere. And I really noticed the difference between those jobs where there was no recognition and there was no job security. The pay was rubbish as well. So there's a strong correlation between having a union in place and having good terms and conditions and good jobs. So, yeah, it does make a difference. Well, I think there are a lot of fault lines that can come in around inequality and, the income divide, and also the digital divide. And I think, some of the consultations that happen in the city are very much reliant on people having a laptop or a Wi-Fi or a phone, or being really motivated to log in and have a password and all that kind of stuff. And I think that really loses a lot of people. So I think there is a divide that's growing there, and an income divide as well, definitely. There's a strong crossover between not having enough money to get a Wi-Fi signal, etc., and taking part in opportunities that will give you a voice. So, yeah, I think that's a growing divide. I've got an interesting statistic around. Last year, the city council consulted on what services were a priority for residents. And some of the stats about the percentage of people taking part was really interesting. And one thing that stuck out to me was that 26%, over a quarter of those taking part, earned more than £100,000, which is quite a lot, isn't it? Despite those people making up just 8.5% of the Cambridge population. So those people were vastly overrepresented. So that's got to make a difference, really, I think, because they would probably vote differently to people who've got, an average income of, below 19,000. And it really does show the digital divide there, doesn't it? And the income divide. The sad thing is that they weren't really listened to. The results were quite clear about people wanting services open. So that really disappointed me, actually. And I think that kind of, when people don't vote, I think it's because they don't feel listened to. So, yeah, there's a correlation. Again, there's a correlation between not being listened to and then not taking part in the future. So, yeah, it's sometimes an uphill battle, isn't it, to encourage people to take part. I think just a recognition that really how hard it was for working people and for women to get the vote in the first place didn't come easily. Only recently commemorated last 107 years when the vote came in for some working women. So it's still quite recent in our recent history. But really, that people would really recognise how hard it was to get to where we are, and how we've really got to preserve what we've got and not let it be taken away from us. It's kind of use it or lose it, and use it well, really, I think. So I think that's what my dream would be. I don't really have an ideal solution about how to make it better.